Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today we're talking about making space for all of your plants. So some of you might notice that my background looks a little bit different yet again. It is because this is my extra bedroom and housing is a little bit tight around here at the moment, and I have somebody that is needing to rent my space temporarily. Unfortunately for me, this extra bedroom actually is my plant room. So that's meant that I have had to try to take all of these plants out of here and fit them in the rest of my house. As I've been in the process of this, I thought it would make a great topic for a video, whether you are trying to consolidate all of your plants that you already own into a smaller space, or maybe you're just trying to make some space to bring in some new plants into the house. This video is for you. Before I jump into it, if you are new here, hi, welcome. I talk about a lot of plant-related content here on my channel. So if that's something that's of interest to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. And without further ado, we will jump into today's video. So my very first tip to you, go ahead and get rid of a few plants. Now, this doesn't have to be a ton of plants, and what I would suggest is looking through your plant collection. Maybe there's some older or just not quite thriving plants that you can just either pass on to somebody else, or really it's time for them to head to the dumpster. Now, one of the things that I personally have chosen to get rid of is some of my duplicates. I would have a couple little plants of each variety, and I chose to kind of consolidate that down to just one plant and get rid of some of the extra that I had. Another option might be to get rid of some easier to replace plants, maybe things that show up quite frequently at your local nursery or big box store, things that you know, maybe you are a fan of them and you can purchase them again when you have the space. So that first step is to put all your plants on the chopping block and maybe pick out a few that you can bear to part with. My second tip was one that I used very, very heavily. I'm always loath to cut my plants. I like them big, I like them full, but I chose to trim back and make a few of my plants smaller. So depending on the plant, this might be giving it a little trim. I have one of my Hoyas here. Most of my Hoyas got a pretty decent haircut. So this one was actually growing up quite tall, had some pretty long runners, and I chose to chop it back, go ahead and root those cuttings and either sell or give them away based on kind of what I needed to do. But as you can see, this plant is now much smaller and can fit on the shelves behind me or another small shelf with relative ease. A couple of other options is you might choose to divide a plant and put it in a smaller pot if that's an option for your plant type. So things like Hoyas or alocasias, maybe you divide them out, make them a little bit smaller so that you can put them in a smaller pot. You also could choose to give your plants a haircut, take a really nice top cutting and keep the top cutting and get rid of the mother plant. This is a really great option if you just aren't quite sure where that mother plant is going to fit, but you do want to keep a little bit of that plant. Take a good cutting, put it somewhere, and let it start growing again from very small. So that second tip, find a way to make your plants just a little bit smaller so that you can fit more of them in a smaller space. Tips 3 and 4 kind of go together. Tip 3 is to have a mix of plants in your house, specifically when it's related to their lighting requirements. For me, one of my big struggles has been to just find space where my plants are getting a lot of light. I have a lot of Hoyas, I have a lot of philodendrons, and it's really difficult because they all want that premium light. Now that they're needing to move out of the best light in my house, I've definitely struggled to find spots that are close to windows that are getting them that bright indirect light. If you can have a variety of plants, things that like low light, medium light, bright indirect light, you'll have a much easier time actually spreading those things throughout your house, and you'll be able to put them in little dark corners in your kitchen or a little bit further away from the windows. Tip 4 goes along with tip 3, and that is to use grow lights. Now, I've already done several videos about using grow lights, and some of my favorites, I'll make sure that I link those for you guys so you can go and check those out. But when you think about those plants that do need that premium light, maybe you don't have space right next to a window or you have to put them in a less than ideal spot, using a grow light to add to a shelf or in a spot a little further away from a window can definitely help you expand your usable space. So tips 3 and 4 are to think about your lighting and use more of the space in your house. And my last tip, tip 5, would be to think about using your wall space and actually your ceiling space. Again, one of my big problems has been trying to find enough counter space, shelf space, whatever it is, in order to fit all of these plants. But a really great tip in order to have more of that usable space in your higher light areas would be to hang them somehow, whether that's from a wall, a ceiling, maybe adding some floating shelves. Things like this can really expand your usable space for plants, whether that's giving them a surface to sit on or something to hang from. So those are my 5 tips for making a little bit more space for plants. Again, whether you're trying to consolidate your plants or add some more to your collection. I'd love to hear some of your best ideas for making space for your plants down below. If you'll leave a comment and let me know. But I think that does it for today's video. Thanks again so much for watching. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I will see you in a couple of weeks with another video. Bye.